Die Hard, an absolute classic. I am a huge action movie fan. I grew up watching so many of them, and I don't just mean superhero films, but raw, hardcore action. The 1980s was a huge decade for these kinds of movies. Big explosions, stunt guys flying through the air, endless machine gun fire, hitting babies with cars. In a way, these movies are what kickstarted my love of cinema. So when I tell you that I haven't seen Die Hard until about a few weeks ago, it's honestly pretty surprising to hear, even for me. I really wish I saw it a lot sooner.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Die Hard just gets it. Despite how much action movies have evolved since the muscle-bound filled decade of the 80s, this film holds up extremely well. Directed by John McTiernan, known for The Last Action Hero and Predator, which I absolutely adore, Die Hard is a film that has remained a timeless classic for its clever blend of humor, suspense, and over-the-top action. Say what you want about older action movies, but the use of practical effects just really elevates them. I mean, just look at this. Lots of movies nowadays use CG to enhance what was shot or to replace it entirely, but back then they didn't really have the technology to do so. So things like gunfire, explosions, falling from great heights, all had to be done in camera. Die Hard is just one of those films where watching the action really makes you say, they don't make them like they used to. A lot of these effects still look incredible. The biggest plus of practical effects is that I feel like they age a lot better than VFX do, because it's real. No disrespect to visual effects artists at all, but a lot of times it's just not the same. Not to mention the cinematography of the film is astounding. The film ranges from one of the hardest looking action films to a tense thriller, and it's all thanks to framing and the lighting. A lot of people underestimate how much lighting can affect a scene. The harsh shadows when Gruber and John meet face to face really adds to the tension that's already there. The way the film can flip from comedy to action to suspense is masterful. Not that many other films haven't done it, but Die Hard manages to strike a balance and improvise with its tone in a way that feels natural for the setting, story, and for the characters. Speaking of characters, our protagonist is John McClane.
Hi there. How you doing?
And he is just a guy. He's not a legendary assassin with years of experience or a machine sent from the future. He's just a guy, a cop from New York. And yet he's one of the most interesting action movie leads I've seen in a film. At the time Die Hard released, action films were typically led by big hulking men who came off as invincible and superhero-like. They were larger than life and helped to sell the kind of ridiculousness of the genre. Because let's be real, action movies are pretty silly. Although still cool, a lot of these movies are just so over the top. And while I think Die Hard embraces that silliness and pokes fun at the genre, John McClane serves as a very realistic protagonist. He isn't taking on an army by himself, but a set number of guys who have more weapons than him and who have a plan. He has to do his best to outsmart them while maneuvering through Nakatomi Plaza, and it really makes John feel like an underdog. I think the character of John McClane continues to inspire a lot of characters in modern day action movies. We no longer see the big tough invincible characters in action films, but rather it's a lot more normal people in these larger than life scenarios. And I say normal very loosely. A lot of these characters have years of training and experience in combat, but I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. It's more interesting to see a character get hurt and stand back up than it is to see a big tough guy take on an army. Because the character of John McClane is so down to earth and relatable, it really adds to the timelessness factor of the movie, and it's a large part as to why Die Hard has endured for so long. John McClane is just a guy. He's one of us. Watching Die Hard for the first time all these years later after its release, I see how much this has taken inspiration from films before it, but more importantly, how much it's influenced films that have come after it. I talked a lot about how John McClane influenced action protagonists, but Die Hard as a whole has essentially created its own genre. I call them bottle episode movies. A bottle episode is when an episode of a TV show is written so it takes place within a single location using a certain set of characters, usually because of budgetary constraints or if a script needs to be produced in such short notice. Die Hard is essentially a bottle episode. The entire film takes place within a single location and follows a set amount of characters. It forces the film to be creative in how it utilizes the action and the story itself within Nakatomi Plaza. One of my all-time favorite action movies is directly inspired by Die Hard, that being Dredd. Literally, it's super close in terms of plot. I think it's clear that even before watching the movie, I had experienced the influence of Die Hard before, and it just goes to show how important of a film it is. It elevates the genre, and I can definitely say that decades after its release, it stands above so many other action movies. Die Hard remains a film that can be watched and held in high regard to this day. Action movies can be very hit or miss, but when they hit hard. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time when I finally figure out why round pizzas come in square boxes. The Polar Express, a movie about a kid who boards a magical train